I was Googled, I was outed, I was fired for being somebody who has a traditional marriage viewpoint. I've written 3 books. First called Legislating Morality. The second book is called I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. The most recent book is called Correct, Not Politically Correct: How Same-Sex Marriage Hurts Everyone. Marriage is recognized by the government because it brings forth the next generation. Marriage at its core is procreative. Now we understand some marriages aren't procreative, but the only ones that are between a man and a woman. So the future of marriage is essential to a nation. When our marriages are strong, our country is strong. When our marriages are weak, our country is weak. For many years, since about 2008, I've done leadership and team building training for Cisco. I was hired back in 2008 to do some training for a group of managers. The training went so well over a period of about a year that they invited me back in 2010. And after about the 8th session, someone in one of my sessions called HR and said, "Frank's class was excellent, but I just learned he had written this book called Correct, Not Politically Correct: How Same-Sex Marriage Hurts Everyone. And since Frank doesn't live up to Cisco values, he's against same-sex marriage, he can't work here." He said, "I'm going to call HR and try and get Frank fired." So after that phone call, I called a friend of mine who helped hire me, and I said, "This is probably going to hear about this in a chain of command today. Be ready for it." He said, "No, don't worry, I'll handle it." So I went on to teach the 8th session. About 3 o'clock that afternoon, I got a phone call during a break, and he said, "I got to come over and talk to you. What time's the class over?" I said, "About 5. So he came over about 4:45, sat in on the last 15 minutes of class. When the class was over, a young lady sitting in the back of the class came up and said, "That was the best class I've ever taken at Cisco. Thanks for putting it on." He said, "Okay, thanks." And then he said to me, "Frank, we got to go to another conference room. I need to talk to you." So he said, "I don't know how to tell you this." He started tearing up. He said, "Frank, I got to fire you." I said, "You got to fire me? Why?" He said, "Because you wrote that book against same-sex marriage, and the HR director just thinks that doesn't live up to Cisco values. You need to go." Even people in Cisco who politically were liberal thought that it was an injustice, and they said, "Let Frank bill us for the whole thing." The reason we decided to go public with it is because we want somehow to make a difference, not just in Cisco, but somehow in the general culture, that first of all we need to expose what really is intolerance. And really it's un-American to say that you have to have a certain political view in order to work in the United States of America. My wife was afraid that this would happen with other clients. Has it happened with other clients? Yes, but not as a result of going public with Cisco. I've been working with Bank of America for many years because they're headquartered, at least partially, here in Charlotte, where I live. And so I've done several different presentations for Bank of America over the years and been rehired over and over again because the presentations are always well received. 2 days before we went public with Cisco, I got a phone call from Bank of America. An HR director there who said, "Hey, somebody just Googled your name and figured out you'd written this book against same-sex marriage." Of course, nobody has read the book. Nobody knows what's in it. If you're just against same-sex marriage, wow, you can't work here. She said, "We're going to go in a different direction. You can't work here." I am open to working with people of all sexual orientations or political views. In fact, that's what inclusion and diversity should be about. That despite the fact that you inevitably might disagree with people over certain political, moral, or social issues, you will work together with them in a very cordial and professional manner. That's what inclusion and diversity should be. It's not that way anymore. You know what it is now? If you don't agree with my narrow political view that same-sex marriage must be put into law, you're a bigot, you're a homophobe, and you need to be fired. That's where we are right now. And the reason for that is because Christians are silent. Look at the founders of this country. They pledged their lives, their sacred honor, their fortunes and their sacred honor. Many of them were killed for political and religious freedom. And we can't speak up because we're afraid that we're not going to get the next promotion or we may not get that job that we were looking. Oh, please. I mean, come on. If we don't start speaking up, we're going to lose our ability even to make a living in this country.